We're joined now by Paul Burke, who's the CEO of the Les Twentyman Foundation. Morning, Paul.
Morning, Raf.
We've got the detail now, the ban of the sale of machetes from midday on Wednesday. I'm just curious, when you chat to kids, can you tell if they're carrying a knife or a machete?
The youth workers can. They're very good at it, Raf.
And how do they tell?
Body language, how they read the kid, what they know about the kid, who the young person's running with, the likelihood. Life for a youth worker these days is a continual risk assessment.
How do you think the kids or the young people think about, like if they've got a machete stuck down the back of their trousers, how are they thinking about that weapon?
Look, I think in our experience, they don't see it as a sword. They see it as a shield. And that's a hard mentality to break down. So they don't go out with the intention of killing or hurting, but it's there for their protection. It's their shield because in their minds, everybody else is carrying. So therefore, to protect themselves, they carry. And it's that mindset that we need to break.
Why do they think of it as a shield?
Because I think this has probably got away from us a little as a society. The incidence of knife crime is certainly being reported more. It has a higher profile. There's a bit of macho stuff in this for some of the young men involved. As I say, I mean, Les Twentyman was fighting for more than 30 years to ban these weapons. Now, Les died last year.
What do you think he'd think of the ban?
I think he'll be looking down with a bit of a smile on his face. Not a full smile. We're not all the way there yet, but he'd be looking down with a feeling of contentment. I mean, it's a shame that he wasn't still here to actually see it. But we're not there yet, Raf. We need to keep the pressure up.
How effective is banning the sale of them from midday on Wednesday?
Look, I think time will tell. There are so many ways to buy these weapons these days. You don't need to physically go to a shop. There's the internet.
Well, someone texted actually to say, I'm a criminal defence lawyer for children. This is the texter. The kids are buying them online, not in shops.
That's right. That's exactly where they're going. So then you need to have ways in place to stop that happening. That's going to involve the federal government.
That's almost impossible, isn't it?
Well, I'd hate to think it's impossible, Raf. I mean,
difficult.
Difficult, yes. I'm in the business of believing that we can get these things right. But yes, it would be very difficult. I mean, but the federal government control what comes in and out of our borders.
Paul Burke's from the Les Twentyman Foundation. I read out that excerpt from The Age, Paul. It doesn't actually mention knives. It mentions chains and wooden clubs. But, you know, like you don't have to dig too deep into the archive. You know, there's another one from the 60s where the people drive up to Ballarat with guns to confront a rival gang. So it is, on the one hand, ever thus, always with us. Where are we at right now with these issues?
Look, I don't think we're in a terribly good place, but I mean, all is not lost. I mean, I think I've heard you make the comments about do we have enough to keep young men in particular focused on other things. Well, if you look at some of the new suburbs that are popping up around Melbourne, I mean, you've got acres and acres of brand new houses with no infrastructure to support the people that live there. There's no youth centres, no sports clubs, no libraries, no basketball. That's right. Yeah. You don't have that.
No cricket pitch, no tennis court.
That's right. So what do you think young people will do? They'll go looking for things to do, and that usually means trouble. So we build all the suburbs to accommodate all our growing population, but we don't service the population. So, are we really surprised that young people get up to mischief and get up to doing things that they shouldn't be doing? Well, no. That's why at Les Twentyman, when one of the programs we run our own basketball club. It's the Braybrook 96ers, extremely successful. And we know that it keeps young people out of trouble. It works. And I haven't asked him, but I can give you one example where a young man who was getting into trouble, who came into contact with the Les Twentyman Foundation and found himself in our programs, in particular in the basketball program. We recently had a gala event to raise money for the foundation to help support our services. And sitting in the audience was a newly elected councillor from the city of Maribyrnong. And we showed a video of Les and his programs that he runs. And this young councillor from the city of Maribyrnong has suddenly pointed at the video and gone, my God, that's me. And it was him. It was. And we spoke to him afterwards, and he said that he couldn't believe that he'd just seen himself on a video.
So he'd been put on the straight and narrow by Les years ago.
Yeah. And he talks about, and my mates around me, not all of them are free to move around at the minute. So here's a young man that was on the wrong side of the tracks, going down a very bad pathway. He's now not just a representative of the community that he emanates from, but he's an elected representative in the local government of Maribyrnong.
So I've only got about a minute before the news, but a ban on the sale from midday on Wednesday, a ban on possession from the 1st of September, will that make a difference?
I'd like to think it will. We haven't obviously seen the detail yet. On the amnesty, for instance, that comes in September, are the government thinking about incentivising that? If so, how are they going to incentivise it?
Yeah, there's no money for that at the moment. They haven't announced it anyway.
Yeah, that's right. But these things,
Are you saying there needs to be like a bit of cash for every weapon handed in?
Doesn't need to be cash, Raf. It can be a voucher for a sports game. It can be a voucher for a cinema. It can be something to incentivise it. I mean, young people tend to react to incentives.
Just 20 seconds more. Why is that important? Why do you think you need that for the amnesty?
To encourage young people to hand them in.
Okay, the news is upon us. Are you feeling a bit more optimistic this morning?
I'm a little bit more optimistic, yeah. I mean, it's being introduced a little earlier, albeit not in its full form, but it's progress, Raf. That's got to be a good thing.
Thank you for coming in.
That's all right, my pleasure.
Paul Burke's the CEO of the Les Twentyman Foundation. What do you make of what Paul had to say? What do you make of the ban on Wednesday? And what makes someone pick up a machete in the first place?
If it's happening in your city,